Welcome to the Creative Condition podcast with me, Ben Talon, illustrator and creativity coach, founder of the Creative Condition, artist and writer. I bring 20 years of creative industry experience and a lifelong love of creativity, a fundamental pillar of human happiness, to you through ongoing personal exploration and the shared experiences of others. You'll get a nourishing mix of creative industry professionals and people far and wide using creativity in ways that can take our learning to the next level so we can maximise our unique blend. The show's been supported from day one by Illustration X, a tremendous illustration agency representing a shining global roster of illustrators and animators over at illustrationx.com. The music for the show is by Dirty Freud, who you can listen to now on all good streaming services. And for everything else, for my coaching, resources and inspiration, head to thecreativecondition.com. Hello and welcome to the Creative Condition podcast. My name is Ben Talon, I'm your host. I'm here for another instalment of the Creativity Diary. Head over to thecreativecondition.com for all the resources and everything else I'm doing through the Creative Condition, which is always expanding. You'll find the reading list there, which will help you nourish your own understanding of creativity, all kinds of different angles there. Books are good for this stuff. And you'll find the podcast archive. Not everything in its entirety, but there's about 100 episodes, I think, up there from the archive, which is now over 300. Find the rest of it on the usual channels, Spotify, Apple Podcasts and all that. And a massive thank you to the founding sponsor of the show, Illustration X. Other than the free resources, you can work with me directly. I am a creativity coach. I've been doing that for a year now. I've just added some new testimonials from Satvir Sahota, designer, and Hazel Mead, illustrator, who I've been working with recently. I continue to work with Ryan Lewis, my long-term client at the moment. I'm loving that, to see that relationship flourish, to see Ryan grow the way he has over the last year or so since we've been working together. And I'm not claiming credit for that exclusively, even though this stuff does play a part. You only have to go and read Ryan's testimonial for that. But to see him take what we've been talking about and take action, which is where this stuff hinges. Like, I work with a number of people through my pit stop session or through my longer term coaching or through agency work, doing workshops and pit stop sessions with members of agencies. It all hinges. It's like anything. It's like if you have a therapy session or you have a piece of advice, it's all well and good taking it in the moment and feeling good about it. But if you don't action it and you don't work it into your own learning and development and creativity, then it's going to kind of fall away, isn't it? Let's face it. But Ryan has worked his nuts off and been so open to ideas and new connections and growth that it's been truly inspiring. So if that sounds good to you, if you want to work with me on a pit stop session, we can work it out financially. We can do it in installments. We can, defer payment. I'm happy to work with your circumstances to make it accessible to you. So get in touch, fill out the form, thecreativecondition.com/coach. Tell me what you're up to. Tell me what your situation is and how you think I can help. We will jump on a no obligation Zoom call for 10, 15 minutes, however long it takes. We'll have a chat. If we feel like it's a good fit, we'll discuss your circumstances. We'll agree a payment plan. We'll get to work. I really love this stuff. This has become my life's cause, and I know a hell of a lot about creativity after 15 years of observing it and studying it and doing 300 plus podcasts with all these people using theirs in a really interesting way. So there you have it. That's the coaching. Let's get into it. The Creativity Diary through the Creative Condition, installment number 11. 1st of April, embracing the calm. The tension soup made from financial pressure, fierce drive, and a passion for my work doesn't always taste good. It burns me out, bringing on a destructive overwhelm. But I'm getting better. Since Paradiso Festival in Mexico, I've focused on reduced task sheets, allowing myself a little more to enjoy things, feel the flow, and act accordingly in tune with my energy. And while I feel more idle, a wholly good thing, I feel more alive, aware, and tuned into the source. I'm not a religious man, so don't read this as divine. By source, I mean the irrefutable everything we belong to, the same source everything in this world belongs to. Ecosystems emanate from it. It's subatomic, if that's the right word. Oh, I don't know. Words fail me on this stuff because it's just so much more than our language. Anyway, things are happening in accordance with this feeling. I've begun a great, exciting conversation with PJ Richardson, laundry co-founder, who shared a book signing with me at Paradiso. Other meaningful chats have happened since with people who were just there, part of it. I'm giving myself to the things that I feel drawn to. Reading with my morning coffee, if that's what will nourish. Getting rid of arbitrary numbers assigned to emails to send to prospective clients and looking for coffees, proper chats, remote or in person, so we can begin relationships. And unsurprisingly, some magic has begun to break down the unreasonable amount of anxiety these last few weeks. Feel the brush of those invisible hands. 3rd of April 2025, Play Park, near perfection. They have half an hour and then we have to get back so I can make tea. That's the clear briefing delivered before the kids barrel into the local play park. I sit down on a sunny patch of grass and the dog does his own thing, exploring, grazing, rolling in enviable delight. My brain wants me to reach into my pocket for my phone, but I deny it as part of my habit-breaking efforts. Instead, I pick up a small twig and begin to bend it, twist it around my finger, toss it into the grass and pick it back up again. It brings on the warmth of the nostalgia as I recall days of laying in the same position, up on one elbow, soaked in sweat after a big summer football match on the old school yard. The memory fades and I can check the dog's whereabouts before watching the kids in their element. They're talking to a boy roughly 2 years older than them, and now he's setting a decent pace, up the big slide, down it, up the monkey bars, then across the little bridge from which he swings down around the halfway mark. My two follow him, but they're not there yet. So he'll just run at cross-sectional angles, reading his moves, creating their own little circuits, but clearly inspired by his mastery of the frame. It's fucking beautiful. So pure and essential. Primal release, physical activity, responsive creativity, innovation. I could go on. They're alive. It's almost perfect, save for one mother of a small toddler who stands in the corner, her back to said toddler, and these moments playing out behind her, doing something on her phone. This isn't judging. Parenthood leaves little time for communications or anything, really. But it takes away from the purity of everything around her, and I can't help but feel sad about it. Like we, as a species, have taken a seismic misstep by getting too connected in the wrong ways. Thankfully, my moment passes and I get back to the twig. 10th of April 2025, Designing a Career. Simon Dixon, co-founder of Dixon Baxi, posted the following advice. Design the career you want to live. If you don't define it, someone else will, and you'll be the one stuck living it. And it left me flailing on the deck, stunned out of my shoes by the sheer power of it. The way I coach my clients is through a cocktail of therapy, discussion, connection, ideas, and guidance. Connection not in the sense that I'll end up best mates with everyone I work with, but in a way that, just like my podcasts, I bare my soul to access their inner child, their authentic self, not their job title. Creativity is directly attached to our personality and story, an extension of self. You get the best from someone by understanding them enough to remind them of their worth, freeing them from learned doubt and inhibition, destructive inner dialogue and dreary prescriptive anti-creativity. We get vulnerable, we vent frustrations, and we throw dreams, whims, ideas and silly thoughts around and look at them from many angles. All of this is done with a framework I call the anatomy of creativity. Otherwise, without direction and guardrails, I'd never shut up and we both just die and turn to dust while coughing and spluttering about all the possibilities creativity presents. But what Simon said, that's everything. I mean it, everything. In the end, it's all on us, in career and life. We have to design both. That's not to say we can control everything. We can't. 3 of the life pillars I get my clients to acknowledge are highlighted in Stutz, a tremendous film about psychotherapist Phil Stutz, and they are pain, uncertainty, constant work. And these never go away. It's the way of the universe. Everything falling apart, Fight Club style. But acknowledging them and welcoming them into our planning phase, our production processes, and our final execution means we are adaptable, present, and somewhat resilient to what may or may not lie ahead. After reading Simon's post, it occurred to me that designing a career and a life is what we do in my coaching and what I've been doing ever since I set foot in the creative industry. I use the Japanese philosophical mindset of seikatsu sha, which loosely translates to those who live by doing, becoming the author of one's own life. I've done this with varying degrees of awareness. My first portfolio was a snarling, antagonistic, partisan blast of activism in pen and ink. I did this to ensure I scared off work that I didn't align with my creative desires, and to engage the clients who could give me the stuff that I'd give a shit about working on. Since school, I've recognised that if I'm not passionate about something, I can't learn or apply myself. It remains the case to this day. It always will. So I set out with intent, designing the career I fancied. I was aware of this. Champagne and Wax Crayons, my debut book, its origin was in freelance frustration. And using the negative emotion spectrum is not a straightforward exercise. It's bloody confusing and full of doubt and uncertainty. A blog rant became a rough manuscript because my cathartic release tool, writing, gathered attention. It was real, raw, and resonated with others leading with creativity. I got addicted to the process, the joy of having a voice and connection through it. Suddenly, I was a writer and a published author. Lucky fucker? Well, the luck was being connected to David Woodtail, my editor, and at the time, an illustration client. But the authoring, the designing of my life and career, was committing to the work, believing in the story I was telling enough to talk about it. Not just lip service, but glowing as I voiced the magic it made me feel. I was living as a writer, carrying myself with enough self-belief to transmit enough positive energy to hook David's interest and excitement. He took that resonance and fought my corner, convincing his superior to offer me a book deal. I had no plans to be a writer. The designing bit was allowing my curiosity to lead because I valued that and trusted it to open the right doors, even if I didn't know where they were or what opportunity might be behind them. That's instinct, play, faith in what feels right, and belief in my ability to see the opportunity in my skill set to deliver on it. Fast turnaround, responding with the elements that dropped into the folder I shared with the universe, if you will. Many of my clients lack this self-belief, or trust in process and play, because we live in a world with data pouring out of its arse, and it terrifies people into creative status at every level. They disconnect from their instinct, devalue and often demolish their story as they live and die by CVs and track records. Serving the expected, handing the keys to automation. They await instruction and don't even put their ideas forward because they already know someone in some department is likely to say no because they know that someone else will never entertain such unpredictability. That's why we burn out. Disillusionment, distraction, and ultimately creative self-destruction are rife among those who we assume live the dream. It's my biggest pleasure to see my clients' faces as I remind them that they can design a better way forward by realigning them with their inner child, making them answer to their deathbed selves and reinstalling the reasons they wanted to create in the first place. I like to identify big dreams and tiny inclinations, blow up the little things sketched in notebooks onto billboard-sized canvases. I love to encourage them to reframe the little jokes shared between friends, or to draw with the dirt that's been festering in the backs of their minds. To begin actively doing, to get sharing it, is to come into possession of a skeleton key that will unlock the door to the exhilarating unknown. Once I got the sense that coaching was a beautiful fit for me, an empathetic, sensitive, perceptive soul who knows a lot about human needs and creativity, I started to build a home so they might come. First, hundreds of podcasts to build trust and show that my motivations were pure, despite my need to ask for money in exchange for my work in a capitalist society. Then, public speaking at schools, colleges, universities, businesses, and events. Then another book, The Creative Condition. A degree of risk and uncertainty meant I had to stay attuned to instincts, but this was me. Creativity was by now my life's passion, and while I adore and continue to make my illustration and art with deep love for the craft, I wanted to put just as much stock in my desire to elevate society's perception and use of creativity. I wasn't making any money, but by designing a scenario where that was possible and would further the cause, I steered things towards a future where I could pay my mortgage and commit to my crusade without having to wait for the economy to collapse. That felt terrifying, but also unbelievably enticing. My coaching clients are often either not making much money, if any at all, from the thing they'd like to become their main work, or they're just not bringing their best version to their roles in companies because they don't believe something they love so much will be validated in a commercial environment. Both situations will only change if you design a scenario where they can. In my case, I invested my own money into a brand, a website and an infrastructure to visually convey my competency and understanding of what I wanted to bring to people's lives. Through good copy and visual communication, I made a spider web woven from the warm rush this work gave me. Again, challenges everywhere, imposter syndrome, moments of silly comparison, so much doubt in pricing the work, full-blown financial panic, and lows in which I almost surrendered and ran off. Perplexed by what I was even thinking in the first place when I already have a career doing something I love. But then, through the podcast, some bookings. 6 pilot pit stop one-to-one standalone sessions. Each one was thrilling, transformative for the client and me. Then, workshop bookings for agencies and organisations, positive feedback, confidence rising, becoming what I already was inside. Trust the process, keep doing, feeling, tiny deadlines, holding yourself to account. The compound results start to come. That's what I tell every client, and every time things start to change because they're designing their career again. No massive end goal to overwhelm yourself and miss signposts along the way, just one foot in front of the other, going with the flow. Creativity coach, writer, illustrator and artist. All the titles make me smile. I'm whatever I want to be according to what's in front of me, but unknowing and knowing in equal measure, I crafted it to be this way. Whatever you want to do with your creativity, it's all possible. But just like Simon says, only if you take it by the horns and make it move. Feel its movements, trust them, especially when they seem wild and frenzied, and lean in. Nobody else can do that for you, but I certainly get a lot out of helping you know where to start and how to keep going. 15th of April 2025, the little houses of Mérida. I sometimes think about the little houses in Mérida. Not so much the inner city ones, as beautiful and bright as they were, but the ones further out. I saw them from the coach windows we drove out to the cenotes to swim. Washing lines hung across the front of some, like little tricycles abandoned. Maybe a child leapt off and ran inside to heed a mother's call. Some sold ice cream or other wares. Tiny convenience stores in the heat, dried leaf litter and trees around them. The colours, naturalised by the sun, knew no bounds. When I think of them, I wonder what life is like out there in these Yucatan villages, what the community is like, and what kind of creativity happens in them. Of course, I visualise myself shuffling about in knee socks and long shorts, or light trousers to minimise the bite risk, working on either side of the hottest time of day. Interestingly, I'm not writing, coaching, or illustrating here. I'm painting. I take my time, applying loose strokes and stepping back for minutes at a time to consider what it means, whether it's successful in some way or not. 18th of April 2025, biography. It's a coincidence that I'm reading a lot of biographies at a time when I've just written my first biography, and I'm discussing my second. In my effort to reduce time wasted on screens, I've made the bathroom my biography zone. Biographies because I find that once I connect with the subject, once I'm there in this person's life, it becomes compulsive reading, so even with only 2 minutes to sit and do the job, I'll take out 2 pages. I hadn't given the nature of a biography much thought before, and then, suffering that strange break-up sensation of having to part ways with the characters in a book before I'm ready to do so. In this case, football manager Brian Clough. The author, Duncan Hamilton, writes something beautiful about this. Referring to Clough's obituaries after his passing in 2004, he offers, "Each story, different in its own way, underlined for me one thing, that there is no absolute truth in biography, only judgment. Every subject is posed, cropped and framed as if in a series of photographs that capture a lifetime of distinct, frozen moments. As a biographer, you produce a piece of work that honestly and accurately reflects what you witnessed, were told, felt or discovered about the subject. You try to join diverse dots of life, creating a picture that takes into account the interpretation and the assessment of others who saw things from a variety of perspectives. And you can only ever contribute to an understanding of the person concerned. You can't be definitive. The reason you're doing it, Hector Ayuso's story, was by no means a traditional biography. I have no interest in writing that way. After all, there are thousands of better biographers if I were thinking standard form. We set out to make a piece of art, a vicious, tender and inspiring mood piece that bared Hector's soul while piquing intrigue and leaving space for the interpretation and imagination of the reader. Duncan's words filled me with joy because he described exactly what I realise, with hindsight, I was trying to do. Other than making art, it is what I'll continue to do, and I'm excited to see where and through whose life it leads me. 22nd of April 2025, talking to Jen. I talked to Jennifer Mertel. Jen was a force of nature, a talker, a whirlwind full of great ideas, insights and observations of the human condition. She's the Vice President of Innovation and Strategy at Marks. I keep calling Marks an agency, but they go under Next Gen Creative Platform. Anyway, they do some cracking work, and Jen's been part of a team of women working on the brand for Musa, a female healthcare brand designed by women for women. We talked about this, but our brains just fucking careened into each other's, and the collateral is one hell of a deep discussion about these changing times, the many issues and opportunities at hand. As part of the chat, I asked Jen if she believes that such work can make a difference and inspire positive change, and she echoes my feelings with a fascinating response. On some days, she tells me, I absolutely, wholeheartedly do. On others, no, I don't. But she points to the tension between those feelings, the importance of the dark and the light, the push and the pull of optimism and something more barbed, something dank. It left me in a reflective mood. After each interview, now over 250 in my career, I have to find ways to decompress because I won't have just anyone on the show. I curate hard. This means I'm usually bouncing, equipped with new ways of seeing, thinking, and going about things. I cast my mind back to harder emotional times in early parenthood, how the weight of the world I felt as a new parent drove me into some anxious places, but also pushed me to find my fight in the fuckery because my cause, my why. Without landing on creativity as my life's work, not making or doing, but championing, supporting and spreading creativity as arguably our most powerful tool for fulfillment and a better future, I could have spiralled into a rotten state of mind. Today, I'm up for the scrap, but on the next downturn, I'll lean into the shadows and think of what Jen said. There you have it, guys. That's instalment 11 of the Creativity Diary at the Creative Condition. Head to thecreativecondition.com now for coaching resources, for free resources, including the recommended reading list, 300 plus podcasts for free, as much as you want. Have that. And I'm only ever an email or a LinkedIn comment or message away, guys. I love engaging with you a lot. I want to talk to you. We can have a no obligation call if you think we might work together. Love to do that and explore the possibilities, be you agency or individual. Cheers for your time. Thanks for listening. Big thank you to the founding sponsor of the show, illustrationx.com. Please also do consider supporting the Ukrainian Institute. Those guys have got it rough over there, and the creative community needs you more than ever. So if you can go to ui.org.ua and share their work, commission them, anything in between, it would be a massive help, and I would love you for life. Cheers, guys. Have an awesome week. Check you on the next guest episode coming up soon. See you later.